All right. Good evening. How was your day? So we have actually looked at HTML, yeah, and we have also looked at some tasks, some tags, and some HTML elements which are very important in building your website. So, uh, and they are also the fundamental tags and elements you need to know. Yeah, you need to know. So we'll be building on that knowledge today. We'll be So so what we'll actually do today is we'll be doing we'll be doing um we'll be building a registration form. Yeah, registration what? We'll be building a registration form today, and it will be responsive. Yeah. So we'll be doing the HTML part today. Then before we'll now move to CSS part of it. Do you understand? So that you understand some other HTML elements that are very important too. You need to understand them too before we now take some larger projects using HTML only. Do you understand? So today we'll be starting with only registration form. All right. So what I will do here is that I will come up with my HTML template. I call it template because that's the base structure of your HTML. So what I want to build is I want to build a registration page exactly. So before I start, let me go over this code for you. So this is our head, the head part of the website, where you see your page title, then you see your linking to other websites or a link to your css file external css file. So inside this body now, remember I told you that in your body, that's where everything that you want to be displaying to the user, that's where you will write it, right? So that's why you are seeing everything here now. You can see that we have a div. A div is just like another type of HTML element that you use to um like div do not actually have a specific meaning, but it's just like division. Used to divide something, like used to divide section by section. Do you understand? So this is a section now called div, and inside this section, that's where we put our HTML tags and elements. Do you understand? Remember, what is an element? Element is HTML element, HTML tags that contains the opening tag, the closing tag, and content. That's your HTML element. It contains what? It contains opening tag, closing tag, and content. Do you understand? Now, so for this div element now, we have a class of container. I will explain what this class is used for later when we are doing our CSS. Then below that div, that's where we have h1, which is registration what? Form. Then below that, we now have our form, the form, this form that you are seeing here now. This name, input field, label, input field, label, input field. Everything is inside. Everything is inside this form element. Do you understand? So inside the form element now, you still see that we have partition, we have another div, first div, second div, and what, and third div. And each of these div carry or have their own functions. One is password, one is email, and the other one is what, is name. Do you get? So inside this form element now, that's where we now have another div. And inside that div, we now have label, and we have input field. Label and input field. Label and what, input field. So but I hope you get that. All right. So first thing first, I will do is I will need to create this div here. So I'll write both the opening tag and the closing tag. Remember the opening tag of this div, this is it. Then the closing tag of the div, this is it at the bottom. Are you getting it? That's it at the bottom. So what I will do here is I will say div one, then the class, the class of what, container, of container. So inside that div now, that's where I now have what, I have h1, h1 registration, name is Bernard, Hope, registration form, registration form, Bernard Hope registration form. So that's the h1. Do you understand? Then we now have form. We have form immediately after the words, after the h1. And don't forget please that both the form, both the h1, they are inside this div, and this is the opening tag of this div, and this is closing tag of what, of this div. Do you understand? So from there now, inside that form now, that's where we now have about three div. So what I will do is I will just write the three div here. Div, div. Do you understand? Are you getting it? All right. So I will separate them. And the first one now is what, from group. So for the first one, we have what, we have class of form group, form group, right? Then inside this first div now, that's where we now have label. Then put the label there, name, right? So after that label now, we have input, we have input field. You can see it here, input field. So the input field now have so many things. You have type, you have id, name, etc. Then so what I'll do is that I will, okay, type is already there, right? Then I will say id. Id is also important because you will need it to write your JavaScript. It's under that one now is under DOM manipulation, DOM document manipulation. So but don't worry, we'll get there. Then we have, for the id we have name. For the name attribute we have name too. All right. So that's for the first one. The second one also have that same pattern. We also have that same pattern. But we have a class of what? Group info. Group info. Right. Then label. Label is email. Then come here. Email. Oh, oh. Email. Right. Then from there now, we also have input field. Input. The input also carry what? Carry email. Then ID. Name. No. Email. Also we have name attribute too, which is called name. Do you understand? Yeah. So that's for email. They will not do the same thing for what? For the last one, the last div, which also have a class of what? Form group. Form group. Form group. So that's that for that. Then label now. Label is for what? Password. Password. Right. Then input field will now follow the labeled elements. So oh, we have input. Type now. Type cannot be password. Password. Alright. Then after that, okay, we still have ID. Alright. How we are getting it now? Then we have a button. After that div, after this div now, we have a button, which is this. Alright. Oh, so we have button. Alright. Right. So we are going by this type first. Type button, right? Or you can choose submit. Submit. Alright. Then after that, right? Oh, uh, but I hope you are getting it right. So this is the button that the end user will click on and register. Register. Yeah. So that's it. So by our next class, we'll try to finish up this one, then go to our next task. Yeah. Go to our next our learning progress on the PDF. Yes, I sent to you that time your course outline. So this is where we'll stop. Then by on Wednesday, yeah, today is Friday already. Let me say on Monday or on Tuesday, the CSS video show. So before then, we should have a class. We should have what a so that we know how to go about it, about the CSS part. Do you understand? So this is where I will stop today, and on Friday we on sorry on Wednesday we'll continue from where we stop. Thank you.